I'm a Hispanic female, and my sexual orientation is straight.
I am Black. I am, what is it? Cisgendered woman. And sexual orientation, I'm heterosexual.
I'm white. I'm female and I'm bisexual.
Race, I'm African American, gender, male, and sexual orientation, I'm straight.
I'm Filipino, I'm female, and I'm lesbian.
I'm Black, cisgender woman, and identify as queer.
I feel like with our president being Donald Trump, I feel like racism is being more like flat out there and more like embraced.
Nationally, I feel like we're in a state where a lot of people who aren't marginalized will say like, oh, it's better than what it used to be, so you should calm down. But like if that were applied to anything else, people would flip out. If like your Wi-Fi was slow and I said, oh, it's better than what it used to be, you wouldn't accept that. So why do people accept that for race?
I feel like the harsh rhetoric portrayed by our president as well as other leaders in the administration is causing a further divide within races.
The biggest issue with race relations is people failing to see their privilege. I think that is like the key to understanding it, and that's why so many people are like butting heads is because people are like, well, I don't see the issue. Well, of course you don't see the issue. You don't have the same skin color as the people who do, so you will never face those issues. So it's just a matter of like seeing your privilege and understanding that you have privilege.
I feel like it's enhanced my racial awareness just because, at least coming from Las Vegas, I never really had to deal with those kinds of issues. I mean, not that I face many issues here, but yeah, I just have learned more about them through my classes and through the environment that's like outside of the university.
Well, growing up, I was always around like other people of color, so actually getting to experience like what it was like to be a true minority was something that like I didn't really experience till like later in my life, and especially in a more concentrated version here at coming to UNR.
I feel like I've always been in a space where I feel like a minority, as to like I don't belong here, and it makes me feel uncomfortable to some extent. Like I always been like my time like looking around and realizing that I'm one of the very few like Latinas in the classroom, making me feel like, am I really like made for this? Am I welcome here? And it makes me feel like uncomfortable.
Growing up, like when there were these microaggressions and like I would get mad at them and people would just call me sensitive, I feel like coming to UNR and understanding that people who look like me have had those similar experiences and understanding that stuff like that isn't okay. So I think coming to UNR and being more educated on these issues has definitely helped me to validate everything that's happened and to know that I'm not alone.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't even say just on campus, but outside of campus as well. I do see it a lot. Like when I take my higher level classes, I see less minorities and more whites, and I feel like that's another thing that keeps me from like always trying to do more. Is because I'm like, oh, like this isn't my comfort zone. These aren't my people. They're not gonna like me, so I won't like them. And it again creates this hostile environment that just I don't find very pleasing.
Like myself, me being like a woman in STEM, there's not going to be like, more specifically like technology, there's not going to be like a lot of people of color, not a lot of women, let alone any women of color.
I would say that there is a color line, more just off of spaces that are created through the students.
I wish that more people, I guess white people engaged in other activities and were interested in more things so that it feels less prevalent that there's a color line.
Definitely. Since my freshman year and sometimes even in like the spaces I'm forced to be in, like especially in my field of study, there aren't a lot of like people of color.
There is definitely like a more predominantly white space.
This is a white space. I don't care what anybody says. The University of Nevada, Reno is a white
Literally.
space.
I feel like campus is not really a white space or a color space. I feel like it's a good mix.
When it comes to race, I feel that the campus may still need some work.
So like last year there was a time where the swastika was painted on the graffiti stairwell, and then right immediately after that happened, it was emailed out to like an event to go paint over it. So I feel like things like that have promoted diversity on campus and makes it more inclusive.
I feel like for the most part it's accepting. Some students might still come off as like, oh, I don't like you because you're different.
Every experience we probably had in like high school that was rough is amplified here.
Yeah.
At a larger scope, not only in the sense that like it's a larger platform, but also in the sense that almost every other like black person we meet or person of color, woman of color we meet has the exact same story.
I feel like the students themselves are really accepting, but when that thing happened with the student that went to the white supremacy rally, Peter, whatever his last name was, I feel like that could have been handled better by the president. I think that he didn't really emphasize enough that we don't condone that stuff here.
People often know that like when we talk about race, as important as that is, that's always an uncomfortable topic to white people. So I feel like I'm stuck in a white space where like this is like the topic of race and color has always like existed throughout my life, and to be in like a space where that hasn't even been a thought to people, it's pretty bothersome.
I think we need to have more students of color in positions of power, more people of color in like the staffing and like advising like level and like a faculty level, more like people of color in that level, and more people of color for UNRPD.
Maybe just a more diverse staff and faculty, but as long as they're still qualified.
Maybe just like see, because we have like these like cultural nights, we have like Hispanic Heritage Night, we have the Indigenous People Month, we have like all these things that we celebrate, but we still don't seem to be like as diverse as we need to be.
Representation is everything, and I think that's definitely something that this university lacks, and that's why we see by like you could look at the stats, like fall semester will have all these black students enrolled, then the next semester all of these black students, like the number of black students drop significantly. And it's not because they dropped out, it's because they transferred or they go back home, and then they just feel as though college isn't for them because they look at this space. So her point on representation, that's definitely key.
I don't think they have one. I feel like we need to stop relying on an outer source.
I feel like it's half and half, like students and then faculty, making sure that faculty are like not enforcing it, but like making sure that students do feel involved, and then students knowing that faculty is doing their best to make us all feel welcome.
I'd say that everybody has to be involved in that.
I believe that like white people and just all minorities should be engaged in a talk, because if we don't have that, then it just seems more relevant that there's a color line essentially. So I believe that if there's more student-led organizations or student-led activities that don't feel like they're excluding specific races, whether it be white or any other race, that would allow for better conversations to occur.